Iran just threatened American universities, not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally specifically, with a named deadline and a named list of targets. And that deadline is tonight. I am Michael Turner, and what is happening right now on day 32 of this war is unlike anything we have seen in the entire conflict. Iran has crossed a line that no country in this war has crossed before. It has put American students directly in the crosshairs, named their campuses, given them a countdown, and promised attacks if their demands are not met. Let me tell you exactly what happened this morning. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, issued an official statement naming 3 specific American universities operating in the Middle East: Texas A&M University at Qatar, based in Doha; Northwestern University at Qatar, also in Doha; and New York University Abu Dhabi, located in the United Arab Emirates. All 3 have been given until midnight tonight, Doha time, to issue public statements condemning the American and Israeli airstrikes that destroyed Iran's University of Science and Technology in Tehran 2 days ago. If those universities do not condemn the strikes by midnight, the IRGC says their campuses will be considered legitimate military targets associated with the American war machine. Let me read you the actual IRGC statement, because the language needs to be heard, not summarized. On March 28, 2026, the criminal Zionist regime, with full support and participation of the United States, bombed Iran University of Science and Technology in Tehran. This barbaric attack killed 47 innocent students, professors, and staff. It destroyed laboratories, libraries, and classrooms. It was a deliberate attack on Iran's educational infrastructure, a war crime. The United States claims to value education, claims to support academic freedom, but its actions prove otherwise. American bombs killed Iranian students while they studied. American missiles destroyed Iranian knowledge, and American universities remain silent. We call on Texas A&M University in Qatar, Northwestern University in Qatar, and New York University Abu Dhabi to issue statements by midnight, March 31, 2026, Doha time, condemning the attack on Iran University of Science and Technology and calling for an end to American bombing of Iranian civilian institutions. If these universities fail to condemn this war crime, if they choose to remain complicit in American aggression through their silence, they will be considered legitimate targets. This is not a threat. This is a promise. That is the statement. Verbatim. Name the universities. Set the deadline. Promise attacks. Frame it as justice. This is unprecedented. Iran has threatened American military bases before, has threatened American warships, has threatened American diplomatic facilities. But Iran has never specifically named American universities, never given educational institutions a political ultimatum under threat of violence, never drawn civilian campuses into the direct line of fire in this way. And it is happening today because 2 days ago, on March 28th, Israeli fighter jets bombed Iran's University of Science and Technology in Tehran. 47 people died in that strike. 32 of them were students, 11 were faculty members, 4 were staff workers, hundreds more were wounded, 3 academic buildings were destroyed, laboratories, libraries, classrooms, the physical infrastructure of learning, gone in a matter of minutes. Iran calls it a war crime, a deliberate assault on civilian education, and the outrage inside Iran is real. The images coming out of Tehran are devastating. Young students covered in rubble, a library with its walls blown out, professors being pulled from collapsed buildings. Whatever the military justification for that strike, whatever research was or was not happening on that campus, the human cost was enormous, and the Iranian public is furious. And now Iran is channeling that fury into this threat, this ultimatum directed at American universities abroad, because Iran cannot bomb the United States directly, cannot hit Texas A&M's main campus in College Station, Texas, cannot reach Northwestern in Evanston, Illinois, cannot touch NYU in Manhattan, but it can reach their branch campuses in Qatar and the UAE, and it is threatening to do exactly that unless those universities publicly condemn their own government. Now, let me tell you why these 3 universities are in an impossible situation, because there is no good answer to what Iran is demanding, not one. Texas A&M University at Qatar has been operating in Doha since 2003. It is an engineering school, approximately 600 students, a mix of American, Qatari, and international students. At any given moment, around 150 American citizens are studying or working on that campus. This morning, the university went into lockdown. Campus security activated emergency protocols. Students were told to shelter in place. Faculty were told to avoid coming to campus entirely. And the university administration held an emergency meeting with Qatari government officials and the United States Embassy in Doha. Because Texas A&M is facing a choice that no university should ever face. If it condemns the U.S. military strikes on Iranian universities, it risks immediate and severe political consequences in the United States. It risks being accused of supporting Iran in the middle of a war. It risks congressional hearings. It risks losing federal funding. It risks donor boycotts and alumni outrage and reputational destruction. But if it does not condemn the strikes, it risks Iranian missiles hitting its campus. It risks students and professors being killed. There is no option that does not carry catastrophic consequences, just bad and worse. Northwestern University Qatar is in the exact same position, a journalism and communication school that has been in Doha since 2008. Around 400 students, a significant number of American citizens. Sources inside the university told reporters this morning that faculty and staff are terrified, that some are already evacuating, leaving Qatar, flying back to the United States, because they do not trust that the Qatari government can intercept every missile if Iran decides to follow through tonight. And New York University Abu Dhabi is equally exposed, a liberal arts university with approximately 1,500 students, a large American faculty, located in a country that has already been targeted by Iranian missiles multiple times during this war. If Iran fires at NYU Abu Dhabi, the UAE may not stop every missile, and American students could die tonight. Now, I want to explain exactly what Iran is trying to accomplish here, because this is not random. This is calculated strategy, and understanding the calculation is the only way to understand what comes next. Iran is trying to do something that 32 days of conventional warfare has not been able to do: create unbearable political pressure inside the United States. Here is the logic. If American university students are threatened, American parents panic immediately. Parents call their children. Parents call their representatives in Congress. Parents call the media. Universities lobby the government for protection and for de-escalation. Cable news covers nothing else. And politicians are forced to answer the question that Iran wants them to answer in public, in front of cameras, with no good answer available. What are you doing to protect American students? And that question, asked loudly enough by enough parents through enough news cycles, turns public opinion in ways that battlefield casualties cannot, because most Americans are not following the daily strike counts in Iran. Most Americans are not tracking the death toll in Tehran, but every American with a child studying abroad is now paying very close attention, and Iran knows it. But here is the deeper and darker calculation that Iran has made. Iran knows these universities almost certainly will not condemn the United States government, cannot condemn it. The political, financial, and reputational costs of doing so are simply too high. So Iran is not really giving these universities a choice they can accept. Iran is setting them up to fail, issuing an ultimatum that cannot be met so that when midnight passes and no condemnation has been issued, Iran can say it warned them, can say they chose complicity, can say they left Iran no option. This is how Iran manufactures justification for attacking civilians. Issue demands that cannot be accepted, wait for the deadline to pass, then claim the victims chose their fate. And as of right now, as the deadline approaches, none of the three universities have met Iran's demands. Texas A&M released a statement saying the safety of students and faculty is their top priority, that they are monitoring the situation closely and coordinating with authorities. That is not a condemnation. That is a statement designed to say nothing. Northwestern issued something similar. We are aware of the threats. We are taking precautions. We are in communication with relevant authorities. Again, no condemnation. NYU Abu Dhabi has issued nothing at all. Iran's deadline is approaching. The demands have not been met. And the question that will define the next several hours is whether Iran was bluffing or whether this is a promise that Iran intends to keep. Now, let me tell you what the United States government is actually doing about this, because the answer is both revealing and deeply troubling. The State Department held an emergency briefing this morning. Reporters asked the spokesperson directly what the United States is doing to protect American students at these universities. The answer was this: we are in close contact with Qatari and Emirati authorities. We have enhanced security at U.S. diplomatic facilities in the region. We are urging all American citizens in Qatar and the UAE to exercise extreme caution. Exercise extreme caution. That is the advice the United States government is giving to American students who have been personally named as targets by a foreign military organization. Not evacuation, not emergency airlift, not deployment of additional missile defense systems to protect the campuses. Just be careful, because the United States has no good options here either. If the U.S. evacuates the universities, it looks like Iran won, like the threat worked, like the most powerful military force in human history cannot protect its own citizens from a country it has been bombing for 32 days. The optics would be catastrophic. But if the U.S. does nothing and students are killed tonight, if Iranian missiles hit a campus full of young people hours after a deadline Iran announced publicly, Trump owns that disaster completely. There is no way to spin it, no narrative that survives those images. So the United States is doing what governments do when they have no good options, the minimum, issuing advisories, holding briefings, hoping Iran is bluffing, and Iran has a word for that: opportunity. Let me give you the broader context for why Iran is doing this now, because this threat does not exist in isolation. It is the product of 32 days of sustained military, diplomatic, and economic collapse that has left Iran with very few moves remaining. In the past 32 days, Iran has lost its supreme leader, has lost dozens of senior IRGC commanders killed in targeted strikes, has lost an estimated 2/3 of its weapons manufacturing capacity, has lost most of its active air defense systems, has lost significant portions of its oil processing infrastructure, has seen Lebanon publicly expel its ambassador 2 days ago, has seen Qatar expel its military personnel, has seen Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey, and Pakistan coordinate a diplomatic effort explicitly designed to reduce Iranian influence, has seen Iraq quietly distance itself, has seen Oman close its territory to Iranian weapons shipments, has watched the axis of resistance, the network Iran spent 4 decades building across the Arab world, begin to visibly fracture under the pressure of this war. Iran is isolated. Iran is bombed, Iran is economically strangled, and Iran is running out of conventional leverage. So Iran is reaching for the most dangerous tool remaining in its arsenal, the threat of American civilian casualties, because Iran cannot defeat the United States on a conventional battlefield, cannot shoot down American B-2 bombers flying at altitude, cannot sink American aircraft carriers in the Persian Gulf, cannot win the war by fighting the war. But Iran can threaten American students, can put them in the crosshairs, can force the United States to choose between protecting civilians and continuing the military campaign. And that choice creates political problems that no amount of bombing can solve. Think about what happens if Iran follows through tonight. If missiles hit Texas A&M Qatar after midnight, if American students are killed on a campus that Iran warned about in a public statement that every American journalist recorded this morning, the political fallout would be unlike anything this administration has faced. Trump has spent 32 days telling the American public that Iran is close to surrender, that negotiations are progressing, that the war is going very well, that American strength is producing results. And if American university students die tonight after a warning that was issued publicly, that Iran recorded and distributed, that the State Department acknowledged and responded to with advisories to be careful, every one of those claims collapses simultaneously. And the question that follows Trump everywhere, through every press conference, through every rally, through every interview, will be the one question his team has no answer for. You knew. Iran told you exactly what they were going to do, and you told students to be careful. Why didn't you protect them? That question is a political weapon more powerful than any missile, and Iran knows it. But here is what matters most in the next few hours. The deadline is midnight Doha time. That is 5 in the afternoon on the United States East Coast, and 3 things can happen. Iran follows through. Missiles or drones hit one or more of the named campuses. American students are killed or wounded. The war transforms overnight into something completely different, a conflict that has directly killed American civilians on an educational campus. Public opinion shifts. Congressional pressure for de-escalation becomes overwhelming. Trump faces the worst crisis of his presidency. Iran waits and threatens again. The deadline passes without an attack. Iran issues a new statement giving the universities more time, or naming new targets, or escalating the rhetoric without escalating the violence. This would suggest the threat was primarily psychological, designed to dominate news cycles, terrify American families, and create political pressure without the consequences of an actual attack. Something happens in between: a partial strike, a drone incident, an attack on infrastructure near, but not directly on a campus. Enough to demonstrate capability and will without the full political consequences of killing American students directly. Any of these outcomes reshapes this war, and the one thing that cannot happen, the one thing that would give Iran nothing, is for the threat to simply pass without consequence, without attention, without changing anything. Iran did not issue this threat to be ignored. Iran issued it to be noticed, to be felt, to make American families look at their children studying abroad and understand for the first time that this war is not happening somewhere far away. It is happening in the same cities where their kids are going to class. I am Michael Turner. I will be updating throughout the day as the deadline approaches. Subscribe and turn on notifications right now, because what happens at midnight Doha time, 5 p.m. Eastern, will either confirm that Iran has found a new and devastating tactic in this war, or will reveal that this was the desperate bluff of a country that has run out of real options. Either way, this changes things. Tell me in the comments, do you think Iran will actually attack these universities tonight, or is this a bluff designed to create political pressure without the consequences of actually striking a campus? And what should the United States be doing right now to protect American students abroad? I will see you in the next update.